In today's lesson or today's class, we did a couple of things. We checked to see if anybody had questions on assignment 19, reviewed the remainder theorem, explained the factor theorem, and then we looked at a few problems on a handout. So let's go ahead and first, here's what the homework looked like from the day before. I covered this in another video. Let me just do one I haven't done. I do number 5 here. This is just practicing factoring by regrouping. And we said most of these have the similar pattern to them, which is group the first pair together, put a big plus sign, that's important, and group the second two together. Then you're going to GCF the first group. So you check your numbers here. Divisible by -5, both of these are. And we can take out an a squared. So we'll put a -5a squared out front. And so what do I have left in here? When I divide these by -5a squared, the thing I'm pulling out of both of them, that factor that's common, -5 over -5 is 1. A cubed over a squared leaves me a. 40 over 5 is 8. It'll be a plus 8. And a squared over a squared cancel. Then in my second group, looks like I can take a 7 out from both of those, leaving me with an a plus 8. So I divided both these by 7. Now it's very important that these two things match, otherwise we can't proceed with the next step. So if you have to still take out a negative sign or factor out anything more so that they are equal, then do that. If you can't get them to be the same, then you'd have to try a different grouping method. Maybe group 3 of them together and see if that works. Or maybe move some of the terms around. But in this case, it didn't happen. We have these matching polynomials right here. Okay. Now, what you have to realize, this is a term, then comes a plus sign, then this is a term. And these terms have a common factor, this a plus 8. And so we're going to grab that common factor, and I'm going to pull him out front. That's the stuff in red here. Okay. And then what do I have left? Well, in the first term, this term, once I take out the a plus 8, I'm left with a -5a squared. And in this second term, when I take out the a plus 8, I'm left with a 7, a positive 7, like that. And see, now it's factored. It's a plus 8 times this. In fact, one way you can distribute this is you take the a plus 8 times -5a squared and a plus 8 times 7. And you'd end up back at this spot. That's our factorization for 4 terms. Some of these were even easier than that. For example, number 4 here. If you look at that guy, you can see here's the first a single term separated by a plus sign. Here's the other term. And those two terms have a common factor, -3x plus 3. So I'm going to pull that factor away from both of those terms. In the first term, it leaves me with just a 2x, and the second term, a 2x cubed. And again, you'd be done here. However, if I look at this binomial, I can see, I can take a 3 out, and I could even take a -3 out of both. And here, they both have a 2 in them, and at least an x to the first I could take out. So you do want to keep factoring until you're done. So I've taken out that -3. I'm going to pull out a 2x here, leaving me with a 1 plus x squared. Okay, you can see if I distribute 2x, 1 times 2x is 2x. 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. Now, this answer is not too bad, but it is on multiplication, so we can move parts around. I've just rewritten it kind of in a different form here, sliding stuff left and right. And now I can do a little multiplication out front. There we go. That's how we want to factor it. Remember, these are not equal to 0. We aren't trying to solve, but eventually we will be solving equations that are equal to 0. And we want each of these factors as low as they can be, or as factored as they can, because then they give us solutions really quick. You can see -6x gives me 0 for an answer. X plus 1 gives me -1 for an answer. But when they're quadratic, like this x squared plus 1, They don't give you answers right away. Now you got to do some more math to figure out how to solve it. In this case, you'd have to use the square root method, and you actually get imaginary numbers here. We don't have to do that yet, but just so you're aware, that's why we're doing it. Now, into the new stuff. Okay, the first thing is the remainder theorem. Okay, and the remainder theorem basically says that if you want to evaluate some function, in this case I called my function p of x, you can evaluate it very quickly by using division. And you'll notice here on the slide what it's saying. Let's see if this thing will stop. Take him off of loop here. Just run him right to the end. There we go. And so it says if you want to find the p of k, all you have to do is look at the remainder when you divide by x minus k. So if I take a polynomial, p of x, divided by x minus k, the remainder is the value of the function at that k. Let's look at how this works with numbers. So here I have a polynomial, and they'd like me to find the p of 2. This theorem over here says, if I want to find the p of 2, the p of k, k equals 2, I have to divide my polynomial, p of x, by x minus k. Or I want to do 3x squared minus 4x plus 5, and I want to divide it by x minus 2. Kind of run out of room there. And that's what the theorem says. It says, if I do that division, the remainder will give me the p of 2. Now, the nice thing is, everybody, there's a lot of, sign switching going on. Here I've got a 2, here I've got an x minus 2. Remember, when we do synthetic division, we always do it with the 0 of the divisor. What makes that divisor equal 0? It's a positive 2. And so that's what you put in your synthetic division box. And so in summary, if you want the p of 2, do synthetic division with a 2 in the box. Okay? It means you're dividing by x minus 2. But it means you just put a 2 in there. So then you just work it out. Do your synthetic division. 3, 6, 2, 4, 9. And you can see the p of 2 is just equal to the remainder, which is 9. Okay, that's all we're doing. In fact, you could do it this way, but this is not the way you want to do it. Okay, sometimes we do it this way. Trust me, for right now, we aren't going to do it this way just because it helps us later on. So if you want the p of 2, you could plug the 2 in there. Giving you 12 minus 8 plus 5, which is 4 plus 5, which is 9. So you can do all that math, or you can just do that synthetic division. Now, the advantage of doing the synthetic division is when we get remainders of 0. And we're going to see that on the next slide. So that's our first theorem, the remainder theorem. If you want the p of 2, do synthetic with a 2. Now, here comes the factor theorem. Let's animate that one for you. It says this x minus k that we just divided by, it is a factor of p of x if the p of k is equal to 0. Remember, p of k, though, is your remainder when you do synthetic division. So it's just saying if your remainder is 0 when you do division. And so we can answer questions like this. Is x minus 3 a factor of this? Very quickly by putting a 3 in the box. See, what we're doing here is we're trying to find out if 3 is a solution to this polynomial, if it's a root, a 0, an x-intercept. Because if this is an x-intercept, then x minus 3 is a factor. And so I'm going to put a 3 in the box to find out if it gives me 0 for a remainder. This is negative 7, that's negative 21, that's 0. Yes, it is. X minus 3, that's what I just divided by putting a 3 in the box, is a factor of x squared minus 10x plus 21. Not only that, but when we did this division, we started with x squared, so now this is 1 times x to the first, just minus 7, or x minus 7. We just factored the polynomial. It's the divisor and your quotient multiplied back together to give you the dividend, x squared minus 10x plus 21. You can see if you distribute this polynomial we started with does factor as x minus 3 times x minus 7. So by using synthetic division, we not only found that we had x minus 3 as a factor, and we found a solution, we also found another factor, and therefore the other solution if we were looking for it. So that's our two methods that we've put together here. Now, the rest of these are just a few examples. So is x minus 2 a factor of this? Easy to answer. All we want to do is do this division and find out if it comes out to a remainder of 0. But we'll do it with synthetic. If our remainder is 0, that means the p of 2 is 0. It means we have a factor, we have a solution. The p of 2 is not 0. The p of 2 is 4. Okay? And x minus 2 is only a factor if it equals a 0. It does not. So x minus 2 is not a factor. Of f of x. And that's essentially all you have to do. Now, you don't even have to show this setup, because now that we are learned people, okay, let's do the second one here. Second one's asking about x plus 5. And it's asking if it's a factor of, they used f of x, I'm using p of x, it doesn't matter. I guess it does. I'll go ahead and change that to an f of x in a second. And it does matter because we want to make sure we're talking about the same things. And so we should give them the same names. All right, so I just want to see if x plus 5 is a factor. So all you do is put negative 5 in the box to check to see if it's a remainder of 0 or not. Nope. It's not a factor. There's all sorts of stuff we now know. P of negative 5 is equal to 30. All right, and that's all you got to do. Now there is one weird problem. It's not that, so I will write it down here for you. It looks like this is 2x plus 1 a factor of p of x. I use p for polynomial. You'll see them use f lots of times because f stands for function. These are all functions. They would all pass a vertical line test. All right, now this one's a little tougher because we're asking if 2x plus 1 is a factor of this. And while we could do long division, 2x plus 1 divided into p of x, long division takes too much time. Now, we did discuss the fact that, hey, unless this is a 1, you can't do synthetic. Well, that was a little disingenuous because we actually can. Now, if you have a binomial where this a value is not a 1, you still want to go through the process of finding its 0. So I set it equal to 0 and I solve it. Oops, divide by 2 here. There we go. So this is what I'm going to use my synthetic division with. Now, here's how the logic goes. If this is a factor of this polynomial, then this factor would produce this solution. So the question is negative a half a solution of this? And how do we find out if it's a solution? Well, if it's a solution, then when you plug in a half, it gives you 0. But we don't plug in a negative half here. We do synthetic division to see if the remainder is 0. And that's the logic we're using. See, I've got an x cubed term, squared term, x to the first. I don't have to put any fillers in here. I just carry out my division like normal. Bring down the 2. Let's do a little multiplying here. Half of 2 is 1, but it'll be negative 1, and I add. Half of 6 is 3, but it'll be negative 3, and I add. Half of 4 is 2, but it'll be negative 2. Hey, it came out to 0. That means 2x plus 1 is a factor. Of p of x. Why? Because of this. Because of this. P of negative a half equals 0. That means x equals negative a half is a solution. And that means 2x plus 1 is a factor because it gives you the solution negative a half. So we're actually finding solutions, we're finding factors all at the same time when we do this. That's it. Your assignment is a handout that I posted online. Looks like this. Now all you have to do though is this first group. Okay, and you can see, is the binomial divisor a factor of the polynomial? Is p plus 6 a factor of this? Now be careful when you do it. Notice it's got a little warning up here. Don't forget 0 coefficients if you're missing some degree term. So 4, 3, 2, 1, none. 5, 4, there's no x cubed or v cubed. There's no v squared. So you're going to have to put zeros in when you do synthetic division. And that is it.